Hi, welcome to reviewing every game ever. Today I'm reviewing 8-Bit Adventure, The Forgotten Journey Remastered Edition, which is a bit of a mouthful. Created to resemble RPGs of old, 8-Bit Adventure was a game developed by Critical Games, which was a small team at the time of creation, so keep that in context as we score the game later. And remember, this isn't the priciest game in the world either. The game starts off with you being a military captain who is having a horrible nightmare that the world is being destroyed and covered in dust. He wakes up to find out while the nightmare wasn't real, the world is in actual danger, and that people are becoming frozen as the world quakes and shakes, and you get to see one of the cooler little cutscenes in the game right here. This will make our titular hero want to journey off to find the blue orb and try to restore order to the world. The opening to the game here is a nice point, but it does make the game feel like it takes a little while to get started. You'll put together a ragtag team on similar journeys after the other orbs. A female thief with a tough past but a strong heart is after the green orb. And a very old, and wise mage who has suffered for many years protecting the red orb. Together you're going to set off to save the world. Keeping in context, this game is made to resemble RPGs of old. Say, Final Fantasy on the NES, for example. They have some success in doing this, but the sprites still don't feel the most polished even for that. But considering how small the original team was making this, just one person at first, they do a nice job infusing character into several sprites, despite the lack of polish at times. On the other hand, one area the game does excel in is the world environments. For a short game, they fit a few different styles in. In fact, very few of them resemble previous ones at all. The dungeons do the same. The flaw being that none of the areas really offer any actual variety of how you move through them, and they also go up and down in quality a bit from design to design. Like, look how good the underwater looks compared to some of the previous ones shown throughout. One of the low points of the game is the monster design, sadly. I went back to check several old RPGs from the earlier NES days, and they just had better looking monsters. Some are purposefully goofy, and I understand that. But many are just too hard to look at. I mean, these bats, come on, we can do a little bit better, right? A positive for the combat is some of the bosses have fun entrances, decent little mechanics or designs, and usually present a bit of a challenge. You could probably overlevel or item spam your way to negate these challenges, but I found it more fun to try and actually use the several different skills your characters get to combat them. Bosses are one of the highlights of the playthrough in this, and their monster designs on the bosses are usually a decent amount better for the most part, excluding a few. You'll use a color system to guide most of the combat in this game. The color triangle of blue is good against red, red to green, and green to blue. This isn't the best mechanic, but it does give you a path to follow in most fights. Some random enemies or bosses won't follow it or will just be kind of hard to understand which color they are supposed to be weak to though. That's a little bit of a flaw. Overall, the combat in this game is fun enough. Random enemies sometimes require equal special skill usage as boss fights, which isn't a huge negative, but it can be a little tedious. The game flow is mostly good in fights, progressing quickly enough. It never gets too hard or too easy. Early on, you may have to travel back to inns for heals or grind some, but nothing too major. I never stopped to grind for more than 10 minutes that I can remember at any singular point. The game seemed to always be about the right level for me, and that's a good quality to have. Keep in mind, this was originally one person making this game. Then they brought on others to help mostly update the aesthetics, like sound and art design. So if the game shines in any area at all, that's a huge plus. And they're not charging too much for this game at all, I even got it on sale. So keep everything in context as I bring up anything that seems negative. Music in this game is fine. It definitely does a decent job emulating what older RPGs sounded like on 8-bit systems like the NES. You could still use a bit more pop, but a few good tracks are, spread throughout here and there, and the main theme itself is solid. The highest point in this game is the fact that it never takes itself too serious. It uses comedy to nicely slice up the dialogue without ever feeling too much like lame one-liners. The comedy is actually the highest point of the dialogue in general. It helps remind you this is a passion project for those who loved games of this age with plenty of good references. This game does commit a sin that older games often did and some still do. The game opens up right before the end to offer you like 5 to 7 fun side dungeons and quests that you wish would have just been peppered all the way through the game. They even open up the lore more, which the story sorely needed, so why wait till the very end when I don't even have to do it? Overall, for its flaws and its positives, 8-Bit Adventure is a small project that came together better than expected and even led to a sequel which is available now, and has opened up to even better reviews. I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that this small gaming company got even better and this game just does just enough for me to want to try the sequel as well. After all that's been said and done, my final score for 8-Bit Adventure is a 5.1 out of 10. An okay game that does pretty well despite the fact they probably had very few resources to develop the game with. And it'll be better for people like me who are a little bit on the older side and have nostalgia for these kind of games, or newer gamers who want to see if they can learn to love what the struggle was like back in the day. Let me know in the comments what you think about the game. Like and subscribe and all that for more, of course. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support I've got thus far reviewing every game ever. If you love the game, maybe leave them a good review on Steam as well.